spent the afternoon with my 5-day-old granddaughter, so I'm just kind of disheveled. She didn't care how I looked. Okay, there we go. Good enough. Okay, so my child is lying a lot. How do I know what's the truth or the lie? Okay, so I'm assuming they're over the age of probably about 5 if they're doing that. So I gotta fix my hair. Anyway, if they're lying a lot, this is what I would do. Just a second, let me get all organized. Okay, so I'm gonna set up a scenario. I don't know how old they are, but let's say they're about 6 or 7 or 8, okay? So they're lying a lot. This is what I would do. I'd say, okay, so can you please tell me exactly what happened? And you're always calm. I'm always like, when I'm disciplining, I get real calm. I get very businesslike. Say, oh, okay, that happened. Can you tell me exactly how that went down? And then you ask, and you take notes, look really official. She's 6, okay, so I guess that's pretty good. Very proud of myself, I guess, that age group. Anyway, so you write down, okay, and then what happened? And then what happened? Then maybe an hour later say, can you please go through that again and write it all down? Don't let her see what you've already written. And then if it's a lie, she would have changed it. They always change a lie. The truth never changes. Okay, she might embellish the truth, but you don't change it. Anyway, so that's how you do it. And you put down the behavior board and you say, before you even do this, anyway, so get the behavior board going right now. That's free. Check out the link. And you put down no lying. And then you put in brackets, I will decide when that's happened. Or I will decide when you're lying. And then you take the notes. And then you say, I'll tell you what, I'm deciding that's a lie, so here's the consequence. Do not get pulled into a conversation about it. If you do, you don't look like a leader. And you know what I would say? She's 6. Would I do this with a 6-year-old? I'm so on the fence with that. Maybe if they're 7 or 8, I would say this. I would say, you know what? I could be wrong. You might be telling the truth. But chances are you might have lied in the past and I missed it. So we're kind of making up for it here. She might not get that at 6 years old. 7 or 8, they can start to get that. But anyway, then there's a consequence. You say, here's the consequence for lying. And then just follow through. So you see how it's all just business. It's all like I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm like a detective here. So then what happens? So, okay, so I've decided that's a lie. So let's go to the behavior board and there's the consequence. And then you always end up with, do you understand? You never say, do you like it? Or, are you going to do it? You just say, do you understand? And then whatever they say, doesn't matter. Just go, whatever. Make that happen. That behavior board it just works. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. Ouch. I spent the afternoon with my gorgeous brand new granddaughter, 5 days old. Geez, they're cute as a button. Newborns and teenagers are my 2 favorite ages. Newborns and teenagers, go figure. Don't know why. It's not necessarily the easiest ages, but they're just my favorite ages. Okay. Okay, what are valid consequences for a 6-year-old? Okay, so that must be the same person. So it would be usually a chore. Don't get caught up in that. Don't get caught up in what the consequence is. It's the fact that they're doing a good deed. So that's what you're getting. That's the whole point. They do something negative, so you get them to do something positive. So empty the dishwasher after dinner, clean up all the dinner dishes for everybody, like put them all in the sink or in the dishwasher, whatever, and supervise while she's doing it. And then always have a time limit within 30 minutes being asked to do so or something like that. And if they don't, so at the 30-minute plus 1 second mark when the alarm has gone off, because you time everything, and you're just calm as anything, no reminding, you're just standing there waiting. And then as soon as the 30 minutes and 1 second is up, I'd say, okay, let's go to the behavior board. So you didn't do the dishes like the consequence. So the other consequence is 24-hour media blackout, and that starts now. I don't know if that's what you've put on there, but if you have, because you always start with a positive action. If they won't do that, you do the negative deprivation. So you say 24-hour media blackout starts now. Do you understand? Hopefully she'll kick up a storm and she'll have an absolute fit, and that's what you want. That behind every fit, scene, and tantrum is a lesson. She is learning that you are now the leader, or you're working towards it anyway. And they're usually going to put up a bit of a stink. If they've been in charge in the past, they're not going to give that up easily. Just makes sense, right? I'm not drinking beer here. I'm drinking kombucha. Okay, this is on YouTube. How do you handle toddler sleep if they won't stay in bed? Perfect. I actually have a whole course on that. It's a whole system. So check that out. It's one of my mini toddler courses. It actually goes from 2 to 8 years old. So 8 years old isn't a toddler. But it's in 2 parts. How to get them to bed, which is the easy part. and then how to keep them there. So check that out. It's a whole system. So anyway, it's in the link or in the description to YouTube. This is the same mom. When I say no, I gotta address this. Just a sec. I want to make sure it's the same mom. Natasha Koulis. Okay, just a sec. I need to address this one. Natasha, when I tell her no, she doesn't get it. She doesn't understand the word no. Yes, she does. She just doesn't like it. Unless she has some developmental delays, and I'm assuming she doesn't, or else you would have told me, right? That would be coaching. I don't discuss that stuff here. But she understands that she just doesn't like it. You're going to teach her it's okay to hear the word no. It's okay that you can't do everything that you want. Everything isn't going to be your way all the time. It's okay for them to learn that. And that's how you do it. Start with the behavior board, and you're just picking one behavior per week. You've put down the no lying in week 1. Just focus on that in week 1. Anyway, it explains it all in the behavior board. If you want the if you want the boot camp course, check that out. That might be good for you if you're really struggling with her, because you're right in that age range. It goes from 3 to 12 years old, and it's all about setting you up as a leader. It's all about you. Remember, I'm never fixing kids here. I'm fixing and teaching parents. I want you to enjoy parenting. I want you to be fun. I want you to be friends with your kids, but you got to get all this pesky discipline out of the way first. You know, I always say that you deal with bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid. And parents say, well, I never see the good kid. And I say, well, you got to work on that. Just play games with them or whatever. Bring it out in them. That was sort of my gift, I guess you'd call it. I was really good at bringing out the best in kids because I was fun. And they like fun Lisa. So why on earth would they be rude to me? Right? So is it that easy? No. I've been studying this for 52 years now. I'm in my 60s. I've kind of earned this knowledge after all these decades. But yeah, I figured it out. You meet their needs and you manage their wants. Part of their needs is discipline. They need, crave, and want a leader. If you're not a leader for your children, they're going to be desperately searching for it elsewhere. They're going to be very vulnerable, very susceptible to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians, whatever. They're going to go searching a leader elsewhere if you are not a leader at home. You want that to be you. You don't want it to be the teacher, the grandparents, or the neighbor. You want it to be you. Because leadership is it's like mentorship. They look up to you. They like you. You're fun. And they want to please you when they're 3 to 12 years old. When they're teenagers, you don't really want that so much. You just want them to not want to disappoint you in the teen years. Toddlers are a write-off. They're just learning. They're brand new, fresh human beings. You can't really lead toddlers yet. You're starting to show them that you know how to lead, but they're toddlers. Was that a message somewhere? Someone said, how do I get my toddler to listen to me? And I can't remember what I answered, but anyway. So what did I answer? Anyway, it was just some question on one of my platforms somewhere. And I said, well, really, just because they know right from wrong doesn't mean they're going to do it. That's like with any kid. Knowing that, and people are always trying to explain right from wrong to kids. They already know it. It's that they choose not to do the right thing, and they often choose to do the wrong thing. Toddlers especially. They may know right from wrong as they're learning, as they're going along. Doesn't mean they're going to follow along with that, right? So they're just learning. I'm actually going to read out my top 5 tips. Oh, sugar. Just a sec here. Just getting my notes together. Just give me a second here. These are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Okay, number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is you enter their world to connect with them. You don't take a 2-year-old to the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. You always enter their world. They just start to look at you differently. It's quite interesting, actually. Number 4 is very similar. How do you discipline a toddler? You enter their world. And they're all about consistent corrective actions. They are not about words. They're about actions. And they learn through repetition. They're not going to learn the first time. I mean, if they did, I'd be very surprised. It's usually more like the 50th time you do something. So you have to be super, super consistent. If you do something 9 times out of 10, they're going to remember the one time you didn't do it right. So yeah, pick a battle and be really consistent with that. Okay, very good question. If you have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, how do you do media blackout for a 5-year-old without taking it? This comes up a lot because I always say if one kid has media blackout, what you do with the other kids is they get to go in your master bedroom with a smaller screen. Okay, it might just be an iPad or something. They're usually quite happy to have to do that because it's a whole family. Everyone has to sacrifice something in a family, right? So they have to go in your bedroom for with a smaller screen. They're usually quite happy to do that because that one sibling doesn't get any media. So they're like, they're usually quite happy with that. I have a few other things about that I don't go into, but if those kids teased the other one, then they would also get media blackout. I don't get into that a lot because you got to be really careful with that one. That can be done really badly. So anyway, I don't talk about that a lot, but anyway, just crossed my mind. Also, when you've got a child who's got media blackout, and by the way, if you got a 2-year-old going into your master bedroom, one of the parents has to go in there with them. And then you do media blackout with the 5-year-old. Like you don't, and then you use that time to bond with them. You say, hey, look, I'm doing media blackout with you. I'm not going to leave you alone with this, right? I'm your parent. I love you. So I'm going to do it with you. Do you want to play a game? No, I hate you. I hate you. Okay, never mind. Wait till they calm down. You ready for that game now? You're always trying to connect with them, always. That's why I say you deal with the bad behavior, but then focus on the good kid. Even if it's not there, you keep looking for it. You keep inviting it. Does that make sense? Okay. Said, yes, it's me. Yeah. Oops, I got to flip ahead because I forgot that Facebook doesn't do it for me. I have to scroll all by myself. What if your teenager is gaslighting? So they're gaslighting you? Yeah. You mean giving you the cold shoulder? Is that what you mean? Yeah, they're going to do that. Work on your parenting skills with teenagers. It's a very specific, they're actually my favorite age. They're my specialty. I love teenagers. That's how I started my business. I was working with teen crisis work. Anyway, I'm going to give you my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. By the way, if you want my help with teenagers, that's pretty much always coaching. Right now, I don't have a course on that because, I don't know, I just don't. I know why, but anyway, it's not worth talking about. But anyway, maybe one day I will, but right now it's always coaching if you want my one-on-one help with your teenager. But anyway, if you don't, do this. Check out, this is my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1 is you listen to understand and show empathy. You do not listen to gather information to lecture with. They will shut you out. If they want your advice, they're going to ask for it. By the way, they already know it. Number 2 is negotiate pretty much everything. Say something like this: I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? It's not a blanket statement. It's just an idea. I'm planting a seed here. And number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff. Save your energy for the big stuff if you even have it. If you try and micromanage a teenager, good luck with that. It's not going to work. So you want them to learn it's okay to make mistakes. Like if my kids had messed up and it was no big deal, I would have said this. I would have said, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And we'd laugh it off. It's okay to make mistakes. Life's messy. We're not supposed to be perfect here. Yeah. I think the biggest problem with parenting teenagers and parenting toddlers, and why they're the 2 most tricky ages to most people, is because you don't understand them. I really do. I think it's your interpretation of them and your expectations of them is out of whack. Completely. That's what I see every single day in my business. Your expectations are completely out of whack with toddlers and teenagers, especially those 2 ages. Toddlers are just crazy. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just learning. And imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years, and for one of those years, you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, they have no context of the world yet, and your expectations of them are where? Like way up here. Lower your expectations with toddlers. They're just learning. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got 1 marble and some tumbleweed in here, okay? They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. I already answered the media blackout with a 2 and a 5-year-old. I just answered that. Okay, I'm going to go to YouTube. What is media blackout? Media blackout is no screens. You don't always have to do that. Some families don't even have screens. Check out my free behavior board. It'll explain why I keep saying media blackout. That is the negative deprivation. It's the secondary consequence that you go to if you can't get them to do the first one. It could be your Lego goes away for a whole day. You're taking something away, in other words. But media blackout, it's kind of common these days that most kids love screens. I do. Everyone loves, not that I'm implying I'm a child. At 63 years old, that boat sailed. Anyway, okay. Okay, someone asked me, and I get asked this a lot, someone said they're a toddler teacher. I don't teach teaching. I haven't got a clue how to do it, so I would never give any advice to anyone in the education system. because I'm only parent-based. I understand kids and parenting, like how to connect as a parent, but I don't know anything about. Like a lot of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I couldn't do their job, and they struggle with parenting. So we respect each other's roles. They're very different roles. Theirs is an institution-based role. Mine isn't. Mine is completely personal. It's home-based. They're just different, right? I couldn't do their job, and they struggle with parenting. Not all of them, but they do. Plus, it's not that they struggle more than other people, but they're learners. They're quicker to search out help because they want to get it right, because they're more learners. If you're in that field, right, makes sense. Okay. Do you know what I did today? I spent the afternoon with my gorgeous new granddaughter. She's 5 days old. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. The parents were in their room sleeping, I guess, and there was she's so gorgeous. 5 days old. Newborns and teenagers are my two favorite ages. Okay. What if my 3-year-old has tantrum for over 20 plus minutes when I told her to sit because, you told her to sit? No, you're doing timeout. I don't do timeout. I can't stand it. Yeah, so I can't address that. Check out my behavior board because she's 3 years old. You can check out my boot camp course. That they both start at the age of 3. And the behavior board's free. The course is not free. But you can just check out the behavior board and go from there. But yeah, I don't do timeout. But that's what you're doing. You're doing timeout. Potty training tips for 2.5-year-old. That's a whole system. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Check out my potty training course. I'm not just here selling courses, but that's just one of my courses. I can't possibly answer that. It's a whole course. So check out my toddler courses in the link above, and you'll see if you're interested in buying that course. Yeah, it's a whole system. Okay. Congratulations, I missed the newborn phase, LOL. You forget all the hard stuff once they become toddlers. Yeah, the newborn stage. The parents of my granddaughter, they're doing great. They're going to be fantastic. But right now, she's just 5 days old. So they're just trying to get some sleep right now. And that is the hardest part, I think, with a newborn is the sleep deprivation. So, but they're doing great. Yeah, will you be Grandma, Nana, or Gigi? I don't know. I'll wait till the kids say whatever they want, I just want to be different from the other grandmothers so that they don't have to say Grandma Lisa and then Grandma the other. You know what I mean? So whatever the kid wants, I'm fine with it. I'm just calling myself Grandma, whatever, until she decides. Whatever she starts calling me. Might be, hey, you. It's fine by me. Okay, here we go. I'm having a hard time connecting with my 14-year-old. Just a sec. I've been trying to bond with him, but he doesn't want too much to do with me. I talk about this a lot. You must be new on here because this comes up a lot. Anyway, this is what I did with my son. We were like best friends. And then he turned 15. He was 6 feet tall. His voice lowered, and he started growing a beard. He completely changed. He wasn't my girlfriend anymore. And not all he liked, but he loved heavy metal music and PlayStation games. And computer games, all gaming. He still does. He's 34. He still loves online gaming. It's great. It's not my thing. I don't know how to do it. So anyway, I thought, how am I going to bond with this kid? Like he's, all of a sudden he wasn't my girlfriend chatting with me about everything anymore because he was growing up. He was turning into a man. This is what I did. I became furniture. What I did was I got a magazine. I sat down beside him while he was playing on this game thing. And I just sat down there leafing through a magazine. And next thing you know, he's talking to me about the game. Next thing you know, he's handing me a controller. So I waited for it to be invited into his world, but I made it very obvious I'm available. So I was furniture. And a lot of parents make this mistake. They say, I really want to talk and connect. So then they get invited into that kid's world, right? And then they start talking about all the big stuff. I've missed you. I want to be closer to you. And they're just going to shut you out. Just play the game. Just that is all they want. If they want to talk to you about deeper stuff, they will. Don't delve into it. Sometimes you have to. That's coaching. If you want my help with that, that's coaching. But yeah, I just became furniture. Next thing you know, we're playing video games together. And I'm very bad at them. But anyway, then he's making a playlist of all the music he likes that he thinks I might like. And yeah, that's how it worked out. So, and it's all, a lot of parents say, well, what about them? They never give to me. You're the parent. And your expectations, you expect too much from your kids. Through the teen years especially, it's a very narcissistic time because they're growing up. Hormones, their social life, the school pressures. They're going through a lot, okay? Don't expect anything from them aside from respect, okay? But don't expect them to be going up to you, hey, do you want to talk about your life? It just, they're all about them at that time. It's a very self-absorbed time of life. So 10-year-old saying he's bored. Well, you meet their needs and manage their wants. Does he have a reason to be bored? Like, does he not have anything to do? I don't know. So, but this is what I did with my kids. Once they both said they were bored, they'd been at a friend's house. And my son did it first because he's older. He came home, and I guess this had worked at the friend's house. And he came home and said to me, I'm bored, in that snotty, whiny tone. I'd never heard him talk like that before. And I went like this. And he went, never mind, because I love this stuff, right? So I said, oh, is my precious angel bored? And he went, no, I'm not bored. I was just kidding. And I said, come with mommy. So I took him in the laundry room, filled up a bucket, and gave him a mop. He was never bored again because I was meeting his needs and managing his wants. I had no guilt whatsoever. I'm bored. Are you freaking kidding me? You got a great life. So let's go mop the floors, sweetie pie. Yeah, he was never bored again. But you got to make sure you're meeting their needs and managing their wants. You know what I'm saying? Like if they have a reason to be bored and you're not meeting their needs, then you got to think about that. Okay. I'm going to move over to Instagram now. So I'm moving over to Instagram now. And I'm on YouTube the whole time, by the way. But anyway, if you have any questions, go over to Instagram. That is my busiest live. So often I can't get to a lot of the questions. But I'm doing my best. So anyway, go in the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course that starts at the age of 3, and my private coaching one-on-one with me. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. It's all done on Zoom. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and welcome, or go over to Instagram if you want to keep following. Sorry, YouTube. I'm just moving over to Instagram now. My voice is giving out. That's why I kind of cut it short. I was going to go for 30 minutes, but my voice is starting to give out. I think because of the cold weather. Okay. Just waiting for people to turn up. Hello. Just waiting for people to turn up here to file in. Is that the right word, to file in? What's the word? File in. Is that the right word? You know how you say something that doesn't make any sense? To file in. There's another word for that, isn't there? Anyway, does it matter, Lisa? No, it doesn't matter. Anyway, okay, so welcome to my live. I just came from Facebook, and after this, I'll be going over to TikTok. I'm on YouTube the whole time, though, and they're all saved. Hi, Montana. By the way, where are you from? I'm interested in that. I used to ask that every single live, but then I just sort of got out of the habit. So I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. We're supposed to have snow maybe this week. So it'll be our first snowfall. We sometimes will go like without snow in the winter, but usually we'll get some. It's usually short-lived though. So where are you from? I'm just curious. Russia. Hi, Russia. Illinois. I'd like to go to Russia one day. I just wouldn't know how. Like, where would I go? Just the capital? But I don't know. Georgia, Nebraska, Missouri, Montana. Mountains, that's all I think about. North Carolina. You know what drives me nuts about the United States is that there's a West Virginia and then there's a Virginia. Where's the East Virginia? I don't know why. That really irks me. It's so wrong. Shouldn't it be a West? Shouldn't there also be an East? Anyway. This is what keeps me up at night. Silly. Okay, New Zealand. We used to ski in New Zealand, Queenstown, because we lived in Australia. That's where my kids were born and raised. And that's the first time my kids ever saw snow. When we got off the bus at the top of the mountain, they dove out of the bus and played in all the filthy parking lot snow. And like 10 feet away, it was gorgeous, pristine snow, but they just so excited to play in this black snow. Well, if you've never seen snow before, that would be a really big deal, right? Toronto. Hi, Toronto. Ohio. Excellent. North Carolina. Austin, Texas. I got to get there one day. Texas is calling my name. Pennsylvania, Louisiana, California, North Carolina, Miami, Florida, Australia. My kids were born in Sydney and Brisbane. And then that's where we spent many, many years. Virginia, Alaska, Chicago. Oh, isn't this fascinating? Tennessee. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. I just was curious where people are turning up from. Anyway, if you go in the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course starts at the age of 3. And you can hire me for personal coaching. It's one-on-one done on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you live. Okay, this is my son is 11. As a parent, what should my parenting style be with him? I'm from India. You know, that's a real cultural difference from North America. When I get clients from other cultures that I know, you might have strong religious beliefs or strong cultural beliefs. So I don't want to impose on that. I like to really take that into account when I'm talking to people, you know, when I'm coaching parents from all over the world. I teach leadership. You've got to be willing to be accountable yourself, and the kids are watching you. So I teach you give respect to get it. So if you mess up, the kids get to punish you too. And a lot of cultures don't like that. So I have to, you know, sort of work around that. I'm very respectful of that. So, and India is one of the countries that when I'm coaching people from India, they often don't want to be on the behavior board. Yeah, so, but maybe you're different, you know, but in India, whenever I coach people, they often don't want, the dad often doesn't want to be on the behavior board. And I have to take that in. I respect that, you know, I respect different cultures. I've learned more about the world through all my coaching than anything else. It's been great because you get the real people. There's no tourist attractions or anything like that. It's just, I get the real people, right? When I'm coaching, I just love it. New Mexico. What are we going to be talking about tonight? I don't know, whatever you ask me. I don't lead these, you do. Miami, Florida, New York. Spent my 50th birthday in New York. It was 13 years ago. Pennsylvania. Are you from Canada or have you been living there? I was born in Vancouver, then I moved to Australia. I married an Australian, moved there for about 20 years. My mother got ill, so we moved back here. My ex-husband too. And we moved back to Canada because of my mom. And then she passed on, and that was years ago. Anyway, so yeah, I've been back and forth. I love both countries. I'm Australian and Canadian now. I love both countries. Congratulations on your granddaughter. It must feel superb. It is beyond, as any grandparent can understand, it's kind of surreal because it's like your kids having kids. It's just surreal. Okay, how to stop 3-year-old from picking nose and eating it. Yeah, that's, do I put that on the behavior board? No, I would just say something like this. I'd say, you know, there's nothing wrong with picking your nose. I don't know if I'd get into the eating it, but let's just go with this. There's nothing wrong with picking your nose or touching your private parts or going to the bathroom, but they're private. So is it something that they do in public? Or, yeah, that's a tricky one. And because you don't want to shame them. That's the problem. A lot of parents try shame with this stuff. I wouldn't do that. I would just say, you know what? That's kind of probably not a healthy thing to do. I don't know if it is or not. I don't know. But yeah, good luck with that. There's a few different ways we could go about this. I'm just sort of trying to ease into that because I really don't. I want it to make it very clear. Wouldn't want to shame the child. Okay, this one's kind of tricky. I'd also love to know about. Well, you said I don't know the first question. You said like to know about weaning off nighttime bottles. My 14-month-old is still waking. Okay, here's the thing. If they're only getting bottles at night, they probably don't need them. They're 14 months old. I wouldn't have them have bottles at any time. I would do what I did with my son. He was 18 months old, and I got him off the dummies, soothers, pacifiers, whatever you want to call them. I had him help me bag them all up, and then I had him help me. We threw them outside in the garbage. Somewhere it was a big garbage bin, the big wheelie bin, and he knew that there's no way I was going to go feet up in there getting them out of there again. So he knew once they went in there, they were gone. So, but yeah, be willing to go through a bit of a storm for that. Everyone wants the rainbow, but you got to be willing to go through the storm to get there. It might be a really rough transition time. And also, if they're waking up 2 to 3 times a night just for the bottle, I got a few opinions on. I don't know what else is going on there. Kind of makes me think, what else is going on? What style parenting are you using? Are you just sort of catering to their every time they, I'm just wondering what's going on there. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a big deal. I'm just thinking it's a bigger picture than just that. I've been doing this for so long now. Sometimes I just feel like I think there's a bit more going on there. Not drinking beer. I'm drinking kombucha. Okay. I don't think beer even looks like this anymore. It used to come in these squat little bottles, like 50 years ago. Okay. 20-month-old, too early to start toilet training. Okay, I have a potty training course and it starts at 2.5. The reason is if you start too young, some of them might be ready. I don't know, they're all different. Some are ready at 2, some are ready at 4, but generally 2.5 is a really good age. So, and when I say 4, it actually has happened before. So more than you would probably even imagine. And it's usually other stuff going on in the family too. But yeah, I say 2.5. It's a pretty good age to be pretty guaranteed that most kids are ready at 2.5. And it's a whole process. It's a mini toddler course. It's in the link above if you're interested. Okay, Mr. Good said something. I want to read this out because I already sort of touched on this. I can relate to that. This is about the 4-year-old or how old was the kid? 14-month-old, getting up in the middle of the night to have bottles. And then Mr. Good said, I can relate to that. My almost 4-year-old wakes up 2 to 3 times a night and we're getting better at not catering to her. It's the not catering to her. You're catering to that. So they don't, at 14 months old, they don't need to get up 2 or 3 times a night for feeds because you're catering to her or him. You're catering to them. Yeah. You got to decide what's a need and what's a want. I cater to needs. I certainly don't cater to wants if they're inappropriate. And I think if you're getting up 2 or 3 times a night, maybe some people might want to do that, then that's okay, but I wouldn't want to do it. So yeah. So I've got machines going on here. Okay. Best way to get 2-year-old to stop hitting when mad. I actually have a course on that. It's called Toddlers Who Hit, Bite, etc. And it's different from the tantrum course. If they are hitting during a tantrum, that's different. But if they're just hitting when they're mad, I have a whole course on that. Basically, the synopsis of that is just every time they do, you say no, and you hold on to their hand, and you just look at them very seriously, and you say no, and you kind of just push their hand away. Then you walk away. The next time they're coming at you, you grab them and don't let them hit you. Just say no and push them away. If they keep trying to hit, you just hold them, and then you just look away. And just hold them for a few seconds or maybe 15, 20 seconds. And then you let go. If they come at you again, you say no and you hold them again. And don't look at them while you're holding them you see what I mean? You got to look away. It's just like you're just waiting. If you look angry, it doesn't work. Don't ask me for the psychology behind it. It just doesn't work. You may be angry, yes, for sure, but don't show it. If you show fear, they go in for the kill. They just can sense it. I know my son used to say, if my mom ever whispers, run, because that's when I'm disciplining. I go out of my way to look as calm as possible when I'm disciplining. I didn't like what you just did. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Okay? So here, and that's how I talk when I'm disciplining. And they're like this, because that's not normal for me to talk like that. So I have a whole different demeanor when I'm disciplining. They don't like it because it's just kind of, it's not scary. It's just, I like fun her. What's this? I don't like this her. But they soon learn how to connect it, that it's because of them. It's not because of me. It's they chose to bring that out in me. That boring, whispering. They don't want it. Sorry, I've got to scroll ahead. I forget. This doesn't do it for me. How do I get my 4-year-old to poop in the toilet? This one comes up a lot, and it's often boys. I know why, but I don't want to go into it because I won't go into it. There's 3 reasons why kids don't want to poop in the toilet. One is it's cold. They have air on their butt, and they're just so used to smashing it into their underpants or pull-ups or whatever, right? So that's one, they're cold. The other one is plop phobia. They might have pooped in the toilet at some point, and they got the splashback. They don't like that. The third one is the hang phobia. They don't like the feeling of it hanging there because they're used to it being smashed up into their pants, right? Those 3 things. The best thing to do, there's no guarantees with any of this, but what I found great success with my clients with this recommendation, get one of those little porta potties and puts a bunch of toilet paper in the bottom of it, and then so that they have something touching their bum. Also, there's not going to be any splashback, and hike the heat up in the bathroom so they're nice and warm. And good luck with that. If they've gone this long to 4 years old, not pooping in the toilet, it's going to take a while. Don't get my potty training course if that's the only problem. It's not, I mean, I go into that, but that's not, you don't need it. Like what I mean is you don't need the whole potty training thing if they just won't poop in the toilet. But it's common. I think there's a whole chapter in the course on that. Is there? Probably is. It's in there somewhere. But yeah, it's that common. It's usually boys. Do you know why? No, never mind. It's too graphic. Kids are funny. Okay. So I've just got to scroll ahead. To Mr. Good, I think it was meant for me. Yes, it was. It wasn't meant for Mr. Good. It was, okay. 3 and 4-year-olds saying no and stop to people saying hi to them. How do I work on this? Happens at park, playground, supermarkets. What kind of consequence from the behavior board thing? So, someone else, okay, when people say hi to them, 3 and 4-year-old saying no and stop to people saying hi to them. That's interesting. Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? I would want to figure out why they're doing that in the first place. And I need more information on that. I need to know why. Like, where did they learn that rudeness from? Where did it start? Yeah, I don't know if I'd put that on the behavior board because I don't know where it came from. I would need to assess that. If you want my help with that, you'd have to hire me for that. Chances are you got other stuff going on at the same time if they're that disrespectful to strangers. So yeah, you might want to check out, either hire me for coaching or check out the boot camp course. But yeah, I don't know why they're doing that. I'd need to know. I'd need to assess that before I could give you a decent answer. He is a boy. Yeah, it's usually boys that don't want to poop in the toilet. Why, boys? You want me to tell you? The thing is, I often get kids on here too. My grandson's almost 3, won't poop on the potty. Yeah. How do I explain this? It's about the splashback and also the coldness and also the being smushed up. They got more equipment down there being affected by it. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. And people might want to know why I know all this. I've been studying kids for 52 years. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11. And I was figuring this out. I can remember the daycare. It was a problem in the daycare centers. And I remember trying to figure it out. But I was 11. I can remember trying to figure it out. I was always trying to figure kids out. Because I always sort of identified with kids in that they're how we all formed. So if you can understand children at each age through the teen years, you can kind of understand yourself a bit better. So yeah, I just always found kids fascinating. Because they're the best of us. They're the innocent us. Adults, I don't have nearly as much patience for. Kids, I do. They're innocent, right? Even though they may be a pain in the butt sometimes, they're fresh. They're new human beings. So I have a whole different tolerance level for them. Like if a kid's rude to me, I know how to deal with it. If an adult's rude to me, I'm like, yeah, whatever, and then just walk away. It's not my job to fix them, right? I'm not going to read that TMI. It is too much information. Not for me in coaching, I'll tell you. I hear it all in coaching. But on here, yeah. Yeah. If you want my help with that, you'd have to hire me one-on-one. Yeah. Because I don't know. There's a whole bunch of other stuff around it too, so it's kind of more in depth. Oh, thoughts on letting infants, newborns, cry it out? If so, for how long? Absolutely not. If a baby cries, I pick them up. I always say you meet their needs and manage their wants. Babies do not cry for no reason. If they're crying because they want to be picked up, they need to be picked up. They're brand new. Yeah, I would never let a baby cry. I just never did. I couldn't. Any tips for nose picking? Well, if it's public picking, then I would say, you know what? There's nothing wrong with picking your nose, going to the toilet, and touching your private parts. But all those things are private. No one wants to see it. So that's what I tell kids. But then there's, if that doesn't do it, then if it's public picking, then that usually takes care of it. Just say there's nothing wrong with it. Oh, I got a funny story. I did a TED Talk once about that, and it was a funny story about that. Anyway, I won't go into it here. Just came up. I have no filtering system, so no matter what I'm doing, where I'm speaking, stuff just comes out. But it was about touching. Yeah, it's funny. Okay, I really appreciate these lives and tips. Helps me understand my child and helps a bunch. If you can understand your child, you can understand yourself better too. Because they are the innocent us. What we're thinking and feeling, they just show it. We tend to filter things. We tend to mask a lot. They don't. So yeah, I find kids fascinating. Anyway, I got to get going. I'm going to move over to TikTok now. So if you want to join me over there, feel free. And if you want to check out the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course that starts at the age of 3. It's all focused on you, not your kids. It's all your leadership skills. You're at the height of your leadership from the ages of 3 to 12. Your children's behavior in that age group is 100% a direct result of your parenting. You're at the height of your leadership. You have so much more power than you realize you do. Because if your children look up to you and want to please you, it's gold. Everything's easy, right? Anyway, and then you can also hire me for coaching if you want. So thanks so much for joining me. I'm moving over to TikTok now. I'm on YouTube the whole time. Just bear with me, YouTube. I'm moving over to TikTok. Come on. There we go. Losing my voice tonight. Ooh. Hello, welcome. Luna, you've been here before. What is your name? Luna. Just reading out your names. Sassy Emma. I see some familiar people. So I'm just reading your names. Anyway, okay, so we can get going anytime you want. If you check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course from the ages of 3 to 12, or you can hire me for coaching. It's all done on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where in the world you live. Anyway, sorry about that. Showing too much. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. I was just on Facebook, then Instagram, and then I go over to TikTok. I do it in alphabetical order. I used to get mixed up before I did alphabetical order, and I remember one day I did TikTok, then Instagram, then TikTok, and I completely missed Facebook. Anyway. Okay, so parenting questions. I'll do my best to answer them. And all ages. Actually, my favorite age is teenagers. That's how I started my business, was teen crisis work. They're my favorite age. But mostly it's toddler parents on these lives. I think, one of the reasons for that is a lot of parents of teenagers just give up. They think there's nothing they can do. There's always something you can do. So a lot of them just give up. Or else they go to school counselors. But yeah. How do I stop laying with my 2 and 4-year-olds to help them fall asleep? Check out my Bedtime Battles course. It goes from the ages of 2 and 8. It's in 2 parts, how to get them to bed and then how to keep them there. By the way, all my courses within the next, should be about 2 weeks now, are going to have videos in every single section. But they're not a replacement for the written course. They're not written, but it's online. So, but yeah, all those videos will be on my courses. So I'm just bulking them up and adding to them because a lot of people want videos in there. I've heard that from several people. So keep watching. Even if you've already bought those courses, go back in a couple of weeks, and if you want, and just check out, I've got videos. I just add a few more tips in there, or I just synopsize maybe some of the stuff that's happening. They're not a replacement for what you see on the screen, but yeah, I sometimes add a story here and there. Interesting. My 2-year-old is such a good lady. Good lady. I was told 3 is worse. No. At the age of 3, it's a real tell. The age of 3 is when they can stop and think before they act. It's when they stop and reason. And usually, if you're more of a leader and you don't give in to everything and you're not spoiling them all the time, then they get easier when they're 3. If you've been giving in to them and not disciplining at all, and they know you're not a leader, at 3, they go like this. Wait a minute. You don't know what you're doing. I think I'll take over. That's when they often find their power. So it depends. That's if you've been a leader or not. It shows up when they hit 3 years old. So, is it natural for teenagers to speak slowly? I don't think so. I don't know. In what context? When they're upset or when they're happy? Or I don't know. I don't think anyone's ever said that before. I've never heard that before. Okay. Okay. Is there anything? Yes, I got a good one here. Is there anything you think is important to iron out, agree on with your partner before raising kids? 100%. Never argue in front of them. If you disagree, you always say this ahead of time. You say, I'll tell you what, we'll discuss it and we'll get back to you. So never argue in front of the kids. There's usually a leader and a pleaser in a family. There's never an old-fashioned authority and a leader. I'm a leader. I don't do the old-fashioned authority stuff. It's not a bad way to parent. The new style pleaser parents, total disaster. You're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. It's a total disaster. But there usually is a pleaser and a leader in the family. And there's nothing wrong with that. Kids only need one leader. But the pleaser has to defer to the leader. The pleaser has to say, well, I don't know. Let's check with your mom or let's check with your dad, whoever the leader. And they kind of respect that too. So yeah, just make sure that you never argue in front of the kids. Number one. My kids never saw that. We separated when they were like 9 and 14. They never saw us argue before or after. Yeah, we always were on the same page. I was the leader, he was the pleaser. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, my dad was the pleaser, my mom was the leader. I remember asking my dad for something once. I can remember this really clearly. And I asked behind my mom's back because I knew she wouldn't want me to have it. So I said, Daddy, can I please have this? And he goes, sure, sweetie pie, let's just check with your mom. And I said, oh, never mind. So he deferred to her. He didn't always, but I remember that one time. So yeah, that's not going to work. Okay. Do you know when you argue in front of your kids, it scares them? It genuinely scares them when they see parents fight. I've been asked this before. Is it good? Not going to like my answer because it's kind of boring. Is it good to raise kids in a multiple language environment? I don't know. I've never done it, and I don't think there's any studies out there. I would think that, to me personally, raising kids with more than one language, I think it sounds great. Although I do notice when they're little, they get the languages mixed up. Actually, we've got one in my apartment, and the kid speaks 2 languages, and they'll sometimes speak in, a sentence might have both languages in it. But yeah, I think it sounds great. What do you think? I think it'd be fun. I would love to be able to speak a second language. My kid is 4, speaks 3 languages. I think that's great. And that's one of those things. There's no answer to that. It's like someone has even asked me, what religion do you think we should bring our kids up in? I don't know. It's a personal choice. And also, do you think our kids should be in Montessori, homeschooled, or public school, or private school? It's a personal choice. I don't know. Do you think we should breastfeed till they're 8? Personal choice. I wouldn't want to do it, but personal choice. Do you think we should co-sleep when they're getting older? That's your choice. There's lots of things that there's not a black and white. There's no yes or no to. It's just a personal choice. Personally, though, I would think it'd be great if kids could speak more than one language. Like, what a gift to give your kids, the ability to speak 2 languages. Yeah, I could barely handle one. Okay. What to do when your 2-year-old says no to everything you ask? Well, the reason they're doing that is because you don't know what you're doing, and they know it. They're picking up on that. So they're like, I got to keep saying it because it's upsetting them. It's fun, right? So if they said no, I take action. Like if I said, come over here, we're going to be having dinner now. And if they said no, I take action. I don't say it twice. I would go over, pick them up, and put them in their high chair, kicking and screaming. They knew when mom said something, it's going to happen whether they want it to or not. And I didn't do that with everything, but if it was something that had to be done, like if they were going to bed or having dinner or something, I would say, come on, we're going to have a bath now. If they'd said to me no, they knew it was going to happen anyway. So what's the point in saying no to mom? Because I'm going to take action. They might have said it with their dad when I wasn't around. But yeah, they just learned. I'd say, come on, bath time. Okay. But if they'd said no, I would have said, okay. And I would have walked over, picked them up, got them in the bath. Kicking and screaming is fine with me because, yeah, you got to make it happen. They learn. It's usually only a couple of scenes. Like they learn that when you say so, they just pick up on it. But if you're not consistent, it's not going to work. Like if one night you might say, come on, it's bath time. You go over and get them in the bath and you just make it happen, even though they've said no. The next night you say, please, come on, how about if we do this? How about you get into the mini therapy sessions, negotiations with a 2-year-old? It's never going to work. Oh, someone said, and this happens every day. I get tons of emails every day, that the behavior board, they didn't get it. Well, if you wait 10 minutes, you'll probably get it. It's like a third-party delivery system, so it sometimes takes a couple of minutes. It might take 10 minutes. But yeah, just wait. It usually turns up. Or the only times it doesn't is when people have entered the wrong email address. So they literally all go in and check, and they've just put one letter or one number wrong in their email. So that's why they don't get it. So just double check that you put the right email in. If not, you just sign up with with your correct email. So it's gone somewhere. It's just to someone else's email that looks similar to yours. But yeah, it works. Lots of people get it every day, so it is working. Hmm. Okay. Well, I can't answer the bedtime one because it's different. So I don't know if I want to answer this question. Someone said, "What are examples of consequences for 3.5-year-old when she's being difficult at bedtime or anytime?" Bedtime is different. I have a whole course on that. If you're interested, check it out. Bedtime is like, it's just different because it's not a bodily function, but it's something that it's like has to happen. It's like mealtime is different too. Bedtime, mealtime, stuff that just has to happen is different. But if it's something, how do I explain this? So, okay, let's say you say to her, "Okay, we're going to get dressed and go out now," and she won't do it. Then, wait, my mind, I always sort of shut down when I've got too many things flying in my head. I got too many ideas. Maybe be more specific. What specific thing? Because I got too many things flying around in my head. What specific thing, if you could pick one behavior that how you should have what consequence to use? Yeah, I get all tongue tied when I get too many things I could answer with. My brain explodes. How to stop 4-year-old if she constantly saying "you bad mommy"? Who cares? If a kid was saying that to me, I'd go, whatever, and just go back to what I was doing. You're feeding it. You're feeding it. They're like twisting you, they're working you. Yeah, just if a kid said that to me, if my kids had said that to me, I would have gone, whatever, and just gone back to doing whatever I was doing. I would not give that any power. None. What are your credentials? I love talking about this. People don't ask me that much anymore. Anyway, I'll tell you what I did. I have no credentials whatsoever. Because parenting, there are no courses on parenting, and a huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. They struggle with parenting. It's personal. There's no degree on parenting. Anyway, what I did, I was 11 years old and I started volunteering in daycare centers. And even they would say to me, "What are you doing? The kids love you and yet they're so good with you." I always kind of knew how to get the best out of kids. And I was 20 years old. I decided I was going to be a child psychologist. So I joined, and I was in this course. And a week after I was in this course, they asked me to leave. You know what? I said, "Why?" And they gave me my money back. And I said, "Why?" And they said, "Because you asked too many questions." You know what was happening is I saw it happening in the class. The other students were starting to ask me questions about kids. Now, back in the day, child psychology, I was not cut out for child psychology at all. It was always about, it's 40 years ago, 43 years ago, and it was about outsmarting children, holier than thou, I know better than you do. It was very patronizing and condescending. I hate that stuff. I thought it was garbage. So that's why I was arguing with the teacher. I said, "I don't get it. Why would you say that? Don't they pick up on that? Don't they feel disrespected and all this stuff?" They hated me. You know what I should have done? I should have held out. They would have paid double to get rid of me. Anyway, I realized then there was no way I was going to be under that umbrella. It would not have suited me at all. So then I was just volunteering with kids or in schools, institutions. I used to volunteer in hospitals, facilities for severely disabled children, detention centers with delinquent teenagers. I just always found kids fascinating, and I always kind of was able to figure them out. And so anyway, and then I was working with delinquent teenagers, and they said, "You got to teach this stuff, Lisa," because they said, "No one's ever treated us like you do." So they were the ones who told me to start this business, and that's how I got going. So yeah, I love it. What should I do with my 2-year-old hitting and hitting, please? Okay, if they're hitting during a tantrum, I have a course on that. It's called tantrums, tantrum busting. If they're just hitting because they're hitting, I have another course on that. Toddlers who hit, bite, etc. Check that out. Goes into detail about how you deal with that. There are 4 annoying habits that children are either going to be born with. It's not your fault if they're born with this. It's just the genetics, right? Or they're either going to do these things or they're never going to do them. One is tantrums. My son had tantrums. My daughter and I never did. Just not in our DNA to have a tantrum. I remember as a small child, I can remember looking at kids having tantrums, and I remember looking at them like this. How embarrassing. Why would they do that? And I remember when my daughter was like 2, she was looking exact same face, like, why would you do that? How embarrassing. So it's just something, whereas my son would just let it fly. He had a great time having tantrums. Anyway, one is tantrums, one is aggressiveness, hitting. They're either going to hit or they're never going to hit. The other one is climbing. They're either going to climb or they're never going to climb. And the last one is running. They're either going to run or they're never going to run. That's when they don't look behind to see where you are. They just run off from you. So climbers and runners are often the same. They're not always, but they often go together. So if they run, they often also climb. Okay, how to get on the same page with partner. This comes up a lot in one-on-one coaching when I'm dealing with parents. And I always say this. I say, pick a leader, I usually pick the leader. I say, well, pick a leader and the other one defers to that leader. Let's give it 3 weeks or 5 weeks, however long they're working with me. And then I say, and then if it doesn't work, then you switch over and the other one's in charge. I've never heard of them switching over. Like, this stuff just kind of works. And also you have to respect that person who's deferring to you, because oftentimes the leader who does want to hire, because often when I'm hired, this is what I see. One parent sitting forward like this and the other one's like this. And I'm always thinking, gee, I wonder which one wanted to hire me. So, and I don't always pick the easy one that you would think as the leader. Often I pick this one. And I just have to decide. It's just something I've been doing for years. I just decide which one I think I can work best with as the leader. And I also say, don't disrespect the other one who has to defer to you. Don't ever rub it in or anything like that. It's not going to work, because you want to support one another, right? But yeah, you just got to agree. It's like an agreement. Say, okay, we're going to agree to do it my way. And if it doesn't work after 3 weeks or whatever, then we'll do it your way. You have to get an agreement. Okay. How to handle a consequence when out in public and can't leave. If they're under the age of 3, you have to deal with right in the moment, because they're right in the moment. Toddlers are under the age of 3 and they're about consistent corrective action. They're not about words. If they're 3 and over, you can say this: I didn't like what you did. We'll discuss it when we get home. So it's called deferred punishment, but you're addressing it right in the moment, but you're not doing the consequence until you're home or you're able to. But yeah, with toddlers, sorry, got to do it right in the moment. Can't say to a 1.5-year-old, we'll discuss it when we get home. Like, they're not listening. Okay. I already addressed this. I don't know if it was on Instagram or here. Anyway, almost 3, sweet girl, turned like a light switch. Aggressive, throwing things, yelling, short fuse. Okay. I addressed that just a few minutes ago. I don't know where it was though. Anyway, when they hit the age of 3, if you're a leader and you don't let them get away with everything and you're good at sort of following through with consequences and stuff like that, so you make sure that you're sort of exercising your leadership before that, by the age of 3, it kicks in and they go, oh, you're a leader, and they get really easy. If you were trying to negotiate with them, doing the mini therapy sessions, you were letting them get away with stuff, at 3, they go the other way. They go like this because they can stop and think. It's when they find their power. At 3 years old, it just shifts. That's why the behavior board starts at 3. The boot camp course starts at 3, because they can stop and think. You can actually reason with them. Not all the time, but they have the ability to start to learn how to reason. So yeah, if that light switch goes off at 3, it means that you're not a leader and they knew it. And now they've just gone, wait a minute, they're not in charge. I think I will be. They don't really think it through like that, but I've seen them. I've watched them, and I've seen, and they say, just last week she was great. And I'm just watching. I thought, I could have predicted that. I could have predicted that light switch going off because I could see it coming. But yeah, that's what's happened. So check out the behavior board that starts at the age of 3, or the boot camp course. It teaches you how to be a leader. So that doesn't happen. When you lead, they will follow. They look up to you. They want to be with you. You're fun. They feel good about themselves when they're with a leader. It makes them feel safe. All children instinctively need, crave, and want a leader. They all need leadership and guidance. Makes them feel safe. If you don't provide that for them, they're going to be very vulnerable and susceptible out there in the world. They're going to be very vulnerable to bullying, peer pressure, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to go searching for leadership everywhere else if you're not a leader at home. You should be the leader. You don't want it to be the teacher, the grandparents. It should be you, the parent. I remember when my kids first started grade one, I said to the grade one teacher, by the way, my name's Lisa, this is so and so. And I said, if they ever step a toe out of line, never discipline my kids. Let me know and I'll do it because that's my job. Teachers love me. My kids never, they were good. But I just made it very clear their behavior is my responsibility. I didn't want teachers to have to put up with that. So yeah, I was a leader, very much so. Teachers love that. They're like, oh, thank God. Because teachers are quitting right, left, and center because of children's behavior. And they have no power anymore. They're not allowed to discipline. They can't even look at a kid the wrong way, and teachers are suing them. So it's just a disaster right now. This is what teachers tell me all the time. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists, and they all say the same thing. Say that kids are ruling the roost these days, and parents are terrified of them. They don't want to discipline them because they're afraid of their kids. That's what leadership, that's why I teach leadership. You're not the old-fashioned authority. You don't want obedient little soldiers. You want children who like themselves and they feel good about themselves when they're with you. They have high self-esteem and they make good choices. You bring out the best in them. That's what a leader does. Is it weird now I want kids at 62? Well, I'm 63. Yeah, I don't want kids. Well, I've had kids, so I don't want kids. I got a grandchild. That's lots of fun, but yeah. Oh, you could always adopt an older child. You know, if I hadn't had kids, I always knew I would have had kids if I never married or found a partner. I would have had kids on my own, or I would have adopted disabled child, anything just to be a mom. I would have, not that that's a lesser child, but you know what I mean, that are not the I wouldn't have to wait for 10 years to get because they're easier to get, right? It's unfortunate. But anyway, I would have taken disabled children or anything just to be a mom. I had to be a mom, so. Yes, as an ex-teacher, we are reprimanded, not students, when students don't do well in school. You know, there's so much expected of, don't even get me started, actually, I don't want to talk about it. I have so much respect for teachers, and what they go through is, it's sad. You know, they just want to teach. They want to enjoy a classroom. They want to be able to teach them and, you know, open the children's minds and eyes and to all these different things. And they're so busy disciplining because it's not being done at home. And it's just sad. There's so much expected of school. Schools are expected to parent now. You know, if the kids are I've even had clients who said, my kids are so misbehaved because you should see the way their teacher deals. I'm like, stop, stop. You know, they're blaming the teacher. And, you know, so it's only because they don't know what to do. It's not that parents think that that's right. I know they don't, but they just don't know what to do. So that's what I teach, because this please your parent style has been around for 30 years now. I saw it coming with participation awards. First time I ever heard of a participation award, I remember thinking, are you kidding me? It was the stupidest thing. You mean they just turn up and they get an award? Oh, talk about entitled and spoiled and catering to them, and heaven forbid they shouldn't get an award. It was in the paper once, and I used to have a column in the paper too on parenting. Boy, people hated this, but anyway, I had to write about it. Someone in the paper, there was another column that had come out, a story, and this mother had a fit because her child didn't get a participation award. That child had not even gone to the game, but she still wanted them to get a participation award. I went up one side of them and down the other, and I got attacked for it. Fine by me. I got my point across. And the newspaper loved that because they get more readers that way, right? So anyway, I didn't say it for that reason, but I had to say it. Okay. Okay, well, you're not going to like my answer, but I got to say it. This is Kara. I have a stubborn 2-year-old little girl that will not eat anything but cheese. Any advice? Well, she's not going out and buying it. So yeah, I made sure, I'll tell you what I did with my kids. I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, so I can't really give advice on nutrition, but I'll tell you what I did with my own kids. I understood that I was in control of what they eat, right? It's my shopping and how anyway, I made everything from scratch, and we didn't have any junk food in the house. And if my kids were only eating one food, that food would not have been in our house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would just make sure it wasn't accessible. So yeah, if your child's only 2 years old, you are actually in control of what they eat and what they don't eat. So like, my kids knew they had to eat their broccoli because there was no ice cream waiting for them. I had no junk food in the house. So they just learned. Not that cheese is junk food, but you know what I'm saying? You're in control. So yeah, empower yourself to be in control. Anyway, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again sometime tomorrow. I don't know when. And anyway, I got to get going. So thanks so much. Check out the link above and you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses. My big boot camp course starts at the age of 3. By the way, that age group, 3 to 12 years old, I know it's a very big age group, but you're at the height of your leadership. That's why I have it split that way. That is the height of your leadership skills. And that course is all about your leadership. That's what it is. Teenagers are different. Toddlers are different. But 3 to 12 years old, their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. So when you're a leader, you get good behavior out of your kids. If you're not, you might still get good behavior. They might just be really easy kids, but you might not. So yeah, it's all based on you and your leadership, and it's all paced out to kind of make it easy to get going, kind of revving up as we're going along. Anyway, and also private coaching, you can hire me one-on-one if you want. That's all done via Zoom, so it doesn't matter where in the world you live. Anyways, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back again sometime tomorrow. Happy parenting.